Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. I'm your host, Parker Layrisson, and today I've got a fantastic guest. This is one of my favorite people around because she's the ultimate giver. She gives so much of herself to our community, whether it's serving on our school board or volunteering to help other people that need help, whether it's serving nonprofits. Robin Abrams does it all, and we're very fortunate to have her in the community. So, Robin, with no further ado, thank you for being on the show, and why don't you tell our guests a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you, Parker, for having me. But the truth be known, you're a giver as well in the community. And I want to thank you for all you do, because you sit on our TARC board of directors. So thank you for having me today to talk about our TARC program and what we have to offer. But I am Robin Abrams. I'm from Ponchatoula, Louisiana, and I am a fundraising coordinator for TARC, which is a nonprofit in Hammond that serves individuals with special needs. So that's what we're here to talk about, is our wonderful TARC organization and all we have to offer.
And I got to say, it's been an honor to serve on TARC's board. To be the president-elect is a responsibility that I take very seriously. And I got to say, on behalf of that board, that we are so lucky to have you leading the charge, because the services are as important as they've ever been. It's tougher than ever to do it. You're dodging hurricanes and pandemics and all this, and raising money is tougher than ever because everybody's belts tightened because of the problems we've been through, whether it's economy or whatever. So we're really fortunate to have you doing that. And of course, as you know, my favorite of all your many great fundraising ideas is the very special Miss Louisiana pageant. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about that pageant and what it is and what your role's been?
Well, for the last 2 years, we haven't had the very special Miss Louisiana because of the COVID pandemic. With children with special needs, we have to watch who they're around, and they can get diseases and so much easier than anybody else.
Right.
So we kind of canceled that for the last 2 years. And we normally had it in January, which is flu season, which is not a good time to do it. So we decided to move it to June this year.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's in our 7th year. This will be our 7th very special Miss Louisiana pageant. And how it all came to be, as you know, you always talk about my involvement with pageants, especially the Strawberry Festival pageant.
Yeah, no, you're the GOAT. You're the Nick Saban of pageants, folks. Miss Robin has mentored and led about 15 Strawberry Queens, including the current queen, including my wife, including her own daughter. So she is the queen maker, if you will. So yes, Miss Robin, don't undersell yourself. You are kind of the queen of queens around here. So sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure you get your due on that point.
You're so sweet. But because of Jenny, my daughter, being in pageants, it was just something that she grew up doing, and I enjoyed it so much with her. And when she became the Strawberry Queen, that was just such a great opportunity for her to be able to get out there in the world and in Louisiana and tell everybody what we had to offer here in Ponchatoula as the strawberry capital of the world. And it opened so many avenues for her and the self-confidence that she had. So along came some friends of mine. They had 2 children already, and they had a little girl with Down syndrome, and they did not know she was going to have Down syndrome. And I would be bopped up into the hospital room, and I had this cute little pageant dress and this little banner for it and a little crown pin, and I just knew I was going to put her in pageants because she was going to be beautiful, because the 2 little boys were absolutely gorgeous, and she had Down syndrome. Families that have children with special needs, they go through all of these emotions. First they're mad. Why did God give me a child like this? And then they're worried about how they're gonna raise this child.
It sounds like they have to get through the stages of the grieving process, right?
Right. And I kind of went through those emotions with my friends as well, because I really felt bad for them. But then I got to thinking, this child's going to do whatever she wants to do, and I'm going to make sure she gets an opportunity. So I had that in the back of my head, and I wanted to make sure that she would be able to do these things. And we tossed a bunch of ideas around, but I was on the board of directors for TARC for a little while as well. And I brought the idea to Kathleen about doing a very special Miss Louisiana pageant. And she says, oh, this sounds like a great idea. Let's toss this around. Well, the little girl that I'm speaking of happens to be the new CEO of TARC's daughter. and that's Mike Latino.
Yeah, Madeline, right? No,
Yes.
wasn't she a Tark ambassador at one time? Beautiful
She
girl.
was. And so
Yeah,
it's Laura and Mike's daughter that I'm speaking of. And,
yeah,
I
beautiful
wanted
girl.
her to be able to enjoy all the things possible. My daughter had babysat for Mike and Laura for the two little boys, their two sons. And I wanted her to be able to experience this. The emotions that go through you when you see your daughter have a crown placed on her head, and when they're in the all blitzed up and all dolled up, it's just a wonderful experience. I know people have a stigma about pageants. They think, oh, that's just you're looking at the outer beauty, but it's not about that. It's not about that at all. And
You're right.
to
It's about so much more. Last week we had the current Mrs. Louisiana on, Sandy Price, who grew up right down the street from me here in Ponchatoula, and she talked about a lot of those angles and about overcoming kind of the misperception of, the wrong perceptions of what that's all about. So you're making a great point. It adds to self-esteem of the participants. You learn a ton. In the case of your daughter, she was able to promote the strawberry industry. So she's learning agriculture. She's helping local farmers sell berries, all over the place.
right.
It really helps the community in many ways that we don't really stop and think about all the time.
You're right. And so, with that being said, getting that self esteem and building your self confidence, what area of children should need that more than children with special needs?
Right.
We need them to feel good about themselves. So, that came to be, and we have been going strong ever since. We've had the last year we had 55 contestants. And
Wow.
some of the people that have helped us along the way at the very beginning, including yourself, we've had people like Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, Robbie Miller, our parish president, has been so involved with our pageant from the very get-go. He actually pays for all the entry fees for all the girls in our pageant.
Oh, wow.
So, you supply all of our shirts. You're a big sponsor in our pageant every year. And it takes a lot of people to do things like this. One of our big sponsors this year is Medline, right here in Hammond. They heard about our pageant and what we do, and they heard about TARP and us serving special need children, and they wanted to help us. They wanted to get involved in the community. So it takes a lot of people to put this on, but we do it. Tangy Tourism, they help us out.
Don't they do a great job? Carla Tate's one of my favorite people in the world. We grew up together at TPSO. And that whole team, Emily McNeely Matisse, goes on and on. Dana, the whole gang, they really have an awesome.
They're working on getting stuff together for me right now. They're getting ditty bags together for me and those kind of things. And it just takes a big variety of people to pull this together. But we always have a theme. And this year our theme is fun and games with very special Miss Louisiana. And how I come up with the themes, of course, we're involved with the Louisiana Association of Fairs and Festivals, all the festivals around this area. And we have a conference every year. And whatever theme they have, I ask if I can buy their decorations the following year to do for
That's
my
a great
pageant.
idea.
Because they're not going to do anything with them, so it kind of works out well. So this year we're going to do fun and games with very special Miss Louisiana. And it's all board game affiliated, and they're all looking forward. They wear costumes on Friday night. We do a big party for the families on Friday night. We feed families, and we have 80 milkshakers are coming this year to perform for them, and it gives them an opportunity to meet everyone there, so they can get familiar with their surroundings, and they're not scared when they actually come to the pageant the next day. So we have the party on Friday night. We have visiting queens. They walk the girls on the stage. They interact with them at the party just to get them, easy and show them how much fun it's going to be. And it's just a good family atmosphere on Friday night. And then, of course, Saturday, the kids show up, and we have Aveda students from Paris Parker that will do hair and makeup for us for free.
Oh, that's
and
great.
All of the girls get pampered, get their hair and makeup done, and then they put their beautiful pageant dresses on, and each one gets to go on stage and just be themselves and shine, and just exactly what we want them to do.
That is so cool. I'm going to try to, I'm having a little tech trouble here. I was going to try to share the page with our viewers, but apparently I'm a little rusty with that. So what I'll tell folks is you have a very special Miss Louisiana Facebook page, which has tons of details about this program. You can also learn about TARC through TARC's website, which is tarc-hammond.com. but this is such a great thing that you've done here, Robin. You mentioned being on the TARC board for many years. What prompted you to get involved in the special needs community? When did what kind of lit the fire? How did you get started?
Well, I worked for the district attorney's office for many years, and I
Hmm.
tell this story all the time. My daddy's name is actually James Taylor, was James Taylor. With Father's Day being coming around, it really sparks this memory. When he passed away, there was a song that came on the radio, and I didn't know who sang the song, and it was James Taylor. And you've got a friend. And
Yeah.
ever since then, that song comes on, and it gives me, it helps me with making decisions. Anytime I'm having a bad day, it'll pop up for no reason. I happened to be in Big Lots shopping one day, and this song came on the loudspeaker at the Big Lot store, and it made my mind up to leave the district attorney's office and to take a job doing fundraising at TARC. So that
Wow.
was my first foot in the door at TARC, and my dad kind of led the way for me there. And
Very
he was
cool.
always big into the community stuff. And so I went to work, and not long after that, Jenny won Strawberry Queen, and I wanted to be able to travel with her. So I quit, didn't
Uh-huh.
stay there long, but I came back and started doing fundraising again. So
Right.
it's like once you are part of TARC, you can't leave. It's just
You,
like
I'm
giving
new
back.
to the gang, but I'm seeing that. You mentioned former CEOs like Kathleen Abels that served us so well before Mike came on, and I'm hoping to get Mike Latino on the show. It'd be a great guest, talk more about the program. Um, but we have Tammy Earls, who is also a former director of the program, longtime board member. She was the president, I think, when I joined the board. Those folks have been coming around for decades and
You're
serving the
right. We have
organization.
Mr. Willie
Mr.
Gibbons,
Willie, oh yeah, of
Mr.
course,
Tim Reeds. They've all been on our
yeah.
board. Lance Kern,
Lance
all
Kern's
have been
been there
part
forever.
of
Yeah,
the TARC family forever. And
yeah,
once you get involved with it, it's just a feeling that you're really doing something for the community when you
right.
feel with special needs. And I tell people all the time, there's so many great nonprofits in our community. You can get
Absolutely.
involved with so many. You have to be passionate about the one you're involved with.
Yeah.
And once you get involved with TARP, the kids and the adults with special needs just melt your heart. And
Hmm.
so that's how I've been involved for so long. It's been going on 15 years now, I
Yeah.
believe. And I wouldn't change the world, change it for the
Well,
world.
I love your story about your dad and the James Taylor song. You had me at James Taylor because my son James, Sweet Baby James by James Taylor, is always the song we would play to him when he was a kid. And now that he's old enough to sing along, he likes that there's that song. So that's really neat. But to have a dad with the same name and have that connection, wow,
I did get to
that's
meet James
powerful.
Taylor. I went to his
Whoa,
concert,
tell us
and
about that. That's interesting.
I got to meet James Taylor in concert in Baton Rouge. Long story short, he came to Baton Rouge on a Monday night, on the
Uh-huh.
same day that my daddy passed away on a Monday night.
Whoa,
I said,
that's a
I have
God
to meet
thing.
this man. So
Yeah.
I was able to get backstage passes, and I got to meet him. And it was like to tell him our story and how he keeps our daddy alive in our hearts, because of the name and because of the song really meant something to me.
Wow. That's so cool. I bet you made his day with that story for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well,
But if you want to get involved with Very Special Miss Louisiana,
yeah,
I just want to
please
tell
tell us
people
how.
that we will have the pageant next weekend. It's going to be June 24th and 25th. You can get involved with us. You can
And
go
that's right up the road at the Mission Church, right off the interstate, right?
The Mission Church has
Okay.
opened their doors to us for the last 2 years. Before that, we were at Oak Tree Church over at the old Harvest Church, and they wound up closing. So we had to find a bigger facility anyway because we're growing. We had more than 400 people at the last pageant. Your wife was actually one of our judges at the last pageant. So, that's another thing, finding judges to come and judge this pageant because, these parents tell us they want it to be a competition. They
Right.
want
They
it to
want it
be
to be
like a real
legit.
pageant, just like
Right.
they had the Special Olympics just recently in Florida. They like that competition, and they want it to be that fun part of it. So that
Hmm.
we have an ultimate queen crown in each group, and first, second, and third runner up, and we give away like prettiest hair, prettiest eyes, best fashion, those kind of awards, and the kids just love it. I had a dad tell me one day, I may not walk my daughter down the aisle, and I may not see her go to prom, but you are making my daughter special by having this pageant. So for a dad to tear up and
Yeah,
say these
that's
things,
powerful.
it's just a great opportunity for families to get to see their child just shine. And,
Hmm.
I had a lady tell me just recently, if you go to our Facebook page, there is a video that Antoine Marketing did for us just recently with some footage that Mr. Paul Calinoto
Yeah,
had
they're
taken.
so talented. Paul does amazing work.
So if you get a chance, go watch that video, because our ambassador this year, Piper Walters, her mom said something in that video that really touched me. She said, it's an opportunity to get to see my daughter have a great time, because we don't know how long our child will live.
Wow.
And that's what makes it so special.
Yeah, that'll
So
grab you by
because
the
these
gut.
parents get to see their child enjoy something and enjoy life, because they don't know how long they're going to have them.
Right. And the thing that's touched me about the special needs community with my limited involvement is you're constantly surprised at what folks can do that you didn't expect. I find myself guilty of underestimating folks all the time. And, the more time you spend working with an organization like TARC, working with a pageant like Very Special Miss Louisiana, your heart's just going to explode with gratitude as you see time and time again these folks doing more than you ever expected they could. And
With the day hab we have over at
yeah,
TARC, the individuals there, the adults that come to our day hab, they go on outings, they get to do so much. We have so many programs that we offer at TARC, and if you want to see or talk to anyone at our office, just go to our TARC Facebook page or to our website. We keep that updated. You can get so much more information if you have a special need child or know someone that does. We could help so much. Just
and I'm glad you mentioned that. So we have a member of TARC, or who an actual recipient of TARC services, who sits on our board. I think that's in our bylaws. You can correct
it
me if
is.
I'm wrong there. But anyway, a week or two ago, we decided to go have lunch. So he comes, and the person that works for TARC that's assigned to him came with us, and we had this great lunch. And through that hour, I was able to really kind of dig deep into what like kind of a day in the life was like. And it became so clear to me that these guys, I mean, it was almost like you wanted to watch this as a TV show. It was like a buddy cop situation where they had this kind of yin and yang. And what I took away from that was how much they really care for one another. The people receiving services at TARC are being truly supported. It's like adding a member to their family almost, right? And this is well supervised by a great leadership team led by Mike Latino and a bunch of other people that do great. But you're right. I mean, the services TARC provides are vast, from day hab to many more things. So how could people reach out to TARC if they're, in need of those services, if they're curious, maybe if they want to volunteer, maybe if they want to donate? How would you put folks in touch with TARC? What would be the best way to go about
They
it?
can call our office, 345-8811, or they can go to our TARC website, which is tarc-hammond.com, like you mentioned earlier. And all of our information, you can go to our fundraising page, you can go to our services that we offer, our board of directors to see who's involved with TARC. But if you would like to be part of that, we're always looking for DSPs, which is people that sit with our clients at their home. We're looking for people to always work there to help with that. I'm sure that we can put you in touch with someone that would give you all the opportunities in the world to really make a difference.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And we're kind of usually on the lookout for great new DSPs. So if you know somebody, in this instance, this DSP is a former police officer, and it was a great set of skills for doing what he does. But if you know somebody who might be interested and be great at that, contact TARC, and they're on the lookout for that. You've got a comment coming in here that I want to share with you, Miss Robin. Our dear friend Faye Ivaniski. And by the way, congrats on your Annie Award, Miss Faye. I saw your photos in the Tangy Lifestyles magazine. You're looking great as always, and it was really neat to see you recognized for some of the many wonderful things you do for our community. Like Robin, you've got the heart of a giver. But Faye says here, Robin, that she loves you and she loves the Very Special Miss Louisiana pageant, and that it's a great opportunity. And Ms. Fay, you're dead on right there. I want to thank you for sharing that comment. Also, Tony Licciardi has chimed in, the administrator of Hammond City Court, Dr. Tony Licciardi, my buddy. And he says, Robin, thanks for all your community service, especially on the school board. It's a thankless job, and we're lucky to have you there. Amen to that, Dr. Licciardi. It is an absolutely thankless job, sometimes a controversial job. You get paid a little, you get yelled at a lot, and, then you have to go run through the electoral process to get there. So why don't we take a moment, Robin, to talk about your service on the school board, beginning with how you got started. My first thought is kind of, what possessed you to run for the school board? You had such a good life going, but I know you did it to serve our community. But tell us about that, how you got started, what it means to you, and kind of what you're proud of, because I know you've been able to accomplish a lot. You're a former president of the school board. You're very respected throughout the parish. So please share with us your school board thoughts.
Well, someone, a really dear friend of mine, kind of said, you need to do this. I think you would be great at it. Hal D. Lamb, that's his name. And he's the one that really said, you really need to do this. I think I have a lot of faith in you. And I talked to a former teacher of mine, Mr. Dan King, and he told me, he said, you've always been a leader. I was the captain of his flag corps when we were in high school at Independence High, and he always thought of me as a leader. So I said, okay, let me see if I can try this out and see what will happen. And there were some people that asked me, what qualifies you? And I got to really think about it, because I didn't go to college. That was not my forte. That's not what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. My husband, on the other hand, he's been to college 3 times and graduated, but that just wasn't for me.
Right.
So, I started doubting myself, but then I thought about it. I look at things from a different perspective than everybody else on our board. I'm a parent, I'm a mother, and I deal with children with special needs. And we have children in our school system. So they need a voice as well. So, I felt like I did have what
I'm so glad you said that, Miss Robin. My wife works with special needs kids over in Livingston, and it's constantly overlooked, underfunded. It's so important to have leaders like you at the very top of the system looking out for those kiddos, because they need it more than anyone.
You're exactly right. And so, I said, I'm going to put my best foot forward. What happens, happens. God's going to take my hand. He's going to lead me there. And he did. And it's been 4 wonderful years of learning. I can tell you this. The first day I walked into a school board meeting and they handed me the books, and I said, I have to learn all of this. I have to read all of this. They said, no, this is just for references. I was like, oh my goodness. It was very overwhelming. But now it's just like clockwork. We go in our meetings. We know exactly what to do. Melissa Stilley is amazing, being our superintendent. There's a lot of things that people don't agree on, but there's reasons behind everything that's done. And, we're all human and we're all going to make mistakes. But in the big scheme of things, we do what's best for all involved, which is the children and the students of Tangipahoa Parish. And I really think that the group that we've had on this school board the last 4 years has really worked well together. And we're looking forward for, the next 4 years. I know everybody on our board's running again. And I feel like we're making strides forward. LaRonja in my district, Independence High School, we're starting the Career and College program. We have in LaRonja, we bought 40 acres of land, hoping to have a new high school in the future. So there's so many things that we're moving forward in my district for sure, and all over the parish. And I think that's one good thing that we need to really focus on. It's not about the north end or the south end. It's about all the students and the employees in Tangipahoa Parish.
That's really well said. What would you say have been some of the top accomplishments during your time? You mentioned things that are in the works, like the big high school plans in LaRonja, but it seems to me like you guys have accomplished a lot since you've been there. I know you're a modest woman. You don't like to pat yourself on the back, but you do have to win re-election, and hopefully, knock on wood, you won't have any opponents. But let's talk about maybe why folks should not think about running against you, if that's a thing. What have you accomplished, both as a group, and what are you personally proud of for you and your district?
Personally, sitting in the courtroom in New Orleans and hearing the judge say that he was putting us in unitary status, on a DSEG case that has been going on for years and years and years. And that itself is just a great accomplishment. I think we have 1 more year maybe
Mm-hmm.
1.5 more years, and we'll completely be out of it.
Yeah.
That right there is the biggest accomplishment I think we could have achieved in the 4 years that I've been sitting on the school board. But of course, there's, we got the half-cent sales tax passed for our employees, all of that money, and we're getting more money than what we really expected in that tax. So we're going to be able to put more money. We're actually doing a survey right now and a study on salaries for our employees to see how much more we can give them next year. So we're revamping our whole transportation department. We've listened and we've heard what people are saying, and now we're doing it, and we're revamping everything to try to make it where our bus drivers are heard. And
Yeah.
that's one of the main things with bus drivers is they want a voice, and we're going to listen to them.
And they're so important to our system, to our community. One of my dear friends who's been a guest on the show, Marshall Graves, is a bus driver. Heck, his whole family, I think everybody in his family but his wife drives a bus. His mom, his dad, his aunts and uncles, etc. And he and I coach basketball together, and I see what an impact he's got throughout the community, from being on that bus. I mean, it's the first person the kids see in the morning. It's the last one they see before they go home. He puts their eyes on him, and it's a leader to our community, but it's sometimes been maybe most times been underappreciated. They make far less here than they do in other parishes. And I'm so glad to hear you give them recognition and look, make a plan to put your money where your mouth is, because they deserve it. And they're big time leaders. So we've talked a lot about your charitable pursuits with the pageant, with TARC, your career as a school board member and all this success. Let's talk about the people behind that, your family, tell us about that. Maybe, we all love your husband, Mr. Charles is very much beloved in this community. Tell us about that. I mean, you mentioned your dad earlier. What was it like growing up in the Taylor house? And eventually we'll get to your love story and those grandkids that are coming by like one a year at this point.
Yeah,
But tell me a little bit about your family, if you don't mind.
Well, Charles and I have been married this past May. We were married 34 years.
Wow.
We were childhood, high school sweethearts. He went to La Ranger. I went to Independence. We were rivals. But, Charles, he has a birthday coming up this Saturday, so happy birthday to him. But
that's like a classic rivalry. Later today, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just to prove that point for those of us in Ponchatoula, my wife went to Independence like you. Later today, the new PHS football coach is going to come on our show. He played quarterback in La Ranger. Brandy carries zero about football or any of that, but she remembered him. She's like, "Oh yeah, I remember him. We used to play against them." So yeah, that must have been like a Romeo and Juliet situation with you and Charles, huh?
Yep. He was a quarterback at La Ranger as well back in the 80s. And so he graduated from La Ranger. I graduated from Independence. Both of our kids graduated from La Ranger. Jenny graduated in 08 and Taylor graduated in 11.
Okay.
And, Jenny has one child, our little Murray, and she's 2 years old. And then my son has 3. He has a 4-month-old Thomas. He has a 2-year-old Charlie, and he has almost 4-year-old Amelia. So Taylor's been keeping us on our toes with grandchildren. I have
Taylor's got them coming. Whoa, Jenny's giving you a little bit of like a reasonable break, for grandma purposes, but Taylor's bringing it like drinking from a fire hose for you. So that's got to be fun. Having that many littles at the same time, I'm sure it's overwhelming. Like you can't watch them all at one time unless you and Mr. Charles can tag team them. But it's got to be cool to see them grow up, at the same kind of age or similar ages, and they kind of have that cousin bond, right? I mean,
they sure do.
That's really neat.
Great growing up, and Jenny is a doctor now. She's an audiologist over in Hammond. My son is manager of my nephew's restaurant over in Hammond and Independence and Covington, the barbecue station. So we kind of keep it all a family affair there. And it's just growing up. When you asked about my dad, we are an Italian family, other than the last name.
I was going to say, yeah. You guys are like closet Italians almost,
Yeah,
right?
my grandfather came from Mississippi, and he wooed my grandmother, and that's how that came
Gotcha.
to be. But we have
Okay.
the Menino family, the Lavatino family.
Yeah.
We're an Italian family, and I love sitting on the Sicilian Festival Board and Independence. I'm very passionate about that. I am
Yeah.
actually
Tell us
the
about that festival for folks that know a lot about strawberries and very little about Sicily. Please tell us about it.
Well, Miss Faye Alfininsky, she and Mr. BJ are actually going to Sicily in the next couple of months, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
excited
So
that she's
cool.
going with our little tour guide that we went with. But we give away a trip to Sicily every year at the Independent
Very
Sicilian
cool.
Heritage Festival, and I've been on that board since the very beginning in 2009, and I'm actually the co-chair for this coming year. I'll be chairman in 2024.
Yeah.
We just picked our new royalty. Mackenzie Menino is our queen, and Mr. Jim Payne, our mayor, is the king this year. And our madre is Miss Marcia Mandela, and our grand marshal is Mr. Cosmo Mortella.
Oh,
So
cool.
we have a really good group of royalty, and they're looking forward to meeting the new strawberry queen this coming weekend, because we'll be crowning the new strawberry queen
That's
as well.
right. That's right. I love that you mentioned that Miss Faye's getting to go to Sicily. One neat thing my wife and I did because she's Sicilian from Independence like you, and we found the street that was named for her family in their ancestral hometown near Palermo, and that was just like such a heart to heart wrenching kind of thing. It was really cool. So I'm sure Miss Faye, they're gonna love that trip. Drink good
They're going to
wine,
love
eat
that
good
trip.
food. You can't do Sicily wrong. It's a wonderful place. We've got another comment here about your pageant. Elisa Wade Lang has chimed in to say that her little girl loves the pageant and enjoys all the attention from the beautiful festival queens from around Louisiana. And she says, thanks for all you do for the beautiful girls. So, Elisa, thank you for chiming in.
Her
And that's
baby's
something.
going to be in the pageant again this year.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's wonderful. Well, I'm sure she looks forward to it. Um, Folks, we're here with Robin Abrams. She's told us a ton of good stuff. If you joined us late, about the very special Miss Louisiana pageant, TARC, the organization that the pageant raises money for, that serves our local special needs, as well as other stuff like the school board and the Sicilian festival and all that. And she's just a wonderful woman that I deeply admire. I promised you, Miss Robin, I'd get you out of here on time and not keep you too long. And so before we get to the end, what else is on your mind, on your heart? What else would you like to share with our viewers? I'd love to give you the opportunity to talk about anything at all you like.
Well, I'm very, very blessed as far as my family and the career path that I've chosen. We're offering this new college and career path for independence this year, the following school year. But seniors and juniors are going to be able to come to our facility, and they're going to be able to pick a career that may not be a college career, and that's okay. We want
Absolutely.
them,
That's
but
great.
we're gonna be able to give them an opportunity to get credentials where they'll be able to go into the workforce when they graduate and have credentials that will give them top paying jobs. And that's what we're focusing on in Independence right now. And believe me, guys, if I would have had something out there like this when I was in high school, it was just always, you got to go to college, you got to go to college or get a
Yeah.
job. This is going to be something that kids can go and get involved in, focus on in high school, and they're going to get top paying jobs when they get out of high school. And I wish that would have been something I could have been involved in. I love what
It's
I
so
do.
great for our community that you're promoting this because we need to get rid of the stigma associated with alternatives to college. College is not right for everyone. College is not affordable for everyone. The student debt crisis is a real thing. And so it's so important that we train kids in high school for good jobs. I've seen kids get great, like where my wife works in Livingston, one of her schools is Walker High School, and they've got everything from auto shops in the school, training kids to do that, to restaurants, I mean, you name it. Kids are coming out with welding certificates and all these paths to real, as you say, high paying, family supporting, hard work, important work jobs. And we need more people, more leaders in the educational community talking about that, because we owe a duty to all of our students to educate them as best we can for what works for them. Am I wrong? I don't mean to be on my soapbox,
No,
but
and you're
as a
correct.
dad,
And
I don't know
we
what
went.
what my boys will need, but I don't, in case they're not college material, I want them to have the resources to do something else.
Well, we went to and viewed Walker High School, and
Hmm.
they have a top-notch program there. And we can only hope that this facility in Independence can be like that one day. They offer, they have their own store, they do their own
Yeah.
screen printing, they have so much that they
Right.
can learn there. And that's what we want to do at Independence. We want to get this program going where all of the students here in Tangipahoa Parish, they don't have to stay at the school. They can come 2 hours to their class, go back to their home school, whether it's Ponchatoula, Kentwood, Sumner,
Hmm.
wherever they go to school. Come do their 2 hour credential there and then go back to their home school. They can still play sports at their home school.
Right.
It's just going to be a lot of involvement with Shelley Gatos being our new coordinator there, getting everybody's schedules on track to make sure that we can accommodate everybody that wants to come to this facility.
And Independence would seem to be the perfect location for that because it's kind of close enough to everything. If you're at Ponchatoula High, I know because I'm visiting in-laws there all the time. I have the best mother-in-law in the world, and she watches my kids, so I can tell you the drive to Independence down to the second, it's not that bad. So if you need to make that run, but it's not all the way on the south end, only serving Ponchatoula and Hammond. As you mentioned earlier, LaRonja's right across the way, so that's next door. But I'm sure you can get there in a reasonable amount of time from Amite or even faraway lands like Kentwood. So
That's the
that
reason.
was a bright idea to put it in Indy.
That's the reason that we selected Independence, because it was centrally located. It's
Yeah.
right off the interstate. The middle school that we're turning into this career path program, it's right off the interstate. So anybody
Right.
can just jump on and off the interstate coming from Kentwood, coming from Ponchatoula. You're 15 minutes either way. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great opportunity for everyone, and that's really something that we're excited about. I'm excited. My life. I have a friend that tells me all the time when she grows up she wants to be me. With the fun that I have, I do take time to have fun, and I think
Let's
life
talk
is
about
short.
that. What do you and Mr. Charles do for fun? What are you into?
Yeah. Well, we have a camp over in Springfield, so we're always on the
Cool.
river.
Very cool.
But I think everybody should live life to the fullest. You're not promised tomorrow. There's so many
Right.
things that we've seen in our lifetime that you just have to take every day for what it's worth and do the best you can in that day, because you're not promised tomorrow, and God wants you to actually live like it was going to be your last day. You have
Amen.
to put your best foot forward every day of your life. And I truly believe that's what my husband and I have done, and that's what we've taught our children to do. And I hope that's what I'm relaying to people, students that I represent in the Tangipahoa Parish school system.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about. You've set a fine example for our community, and today's interview just kind of crystallizes why. You're one of the best rounded people I know, Robin. You seem to have it together, personally, professionally. I mean, you name it. And I really, I'm sincere when I say that I admire you. You are a community icon, and our little community is a better place because you're here. So for all of that, I just say on behalf of the Ponchatoula community and our viewers and listeners, thank you. Thank you for all you do to make dreams come true for little queens all over, whether it's in the very special Miss Louisiana pageant this upcoming week, or long ago, whether it was helping folks like my wife become the strawberry queen and changing their lives. You're just great, and I thank you for that. So I hope you'll come back another time, come back to the show.
Definitely.
And we'll ask more questions. But folks, there you have it. Robin Abrams, one of the best and brightest in Ponchatoula's area, greater Ponchatoula area, the Tangipahoa area. And we thank her for being on the show, and we'll see you guys soon.